This is your daily briefing, and you're most welcome to it. He lives, I tell you. I'll just get a little bit of housekeeping, kind of get out of the way, because I put a little note up saying, you know, got a drop of COVID, going to be out of action for us, you know, try and be back as soon as possible. And I think there might have been a slight misinterpretation. I wasn't looking for sympathy, although it was very nice. You know, you have to say it is nice when total strangers wish you well. That's groovy. But the response from some other people, and I'm not raising this because you upset me, you didn't, but if this comes across as chastising, it's simply because this all ties back into what I'm doing here, and your response and your ability to put it in the simplest language as possible is to hold two thoughts in your head at the same time. Does that make any sense to you? And I'm only talking to some of you, not all of you. I think most of you are relatively normal, you know, comparative to who's talking to you. So, you know, I put up, you know, oh, I've got a drop of COVID, blah, blah. And some of the responses were just very weird, because I've grown up, you know, in the public sort of space, if you like. And for a long time when you're blogging, people say, oh, you keyboard warrior, you live under the stairs at your mother's home. And people invent this thing of you because they can't see you, they don't know you, they have no understanding of you, not really. So they take bits and pieces that they don't care for in the main, and then they invent, the whole thing kind of extrapolates, and they invent this sort of sinister thing that, like I say, lives under the stairs. And I was thinking, well, the next time, you know, if I have to take a couple of days off because I'm a bit poorly or something, I'll just say I've run away and join the Russian army, because I'm likely to get fewer daft remarks. And what I'm talking about here is people say, oh, just have another jab, you'll be okay. Or, you do know, mate, you know, you should grow a pair, and there's no need to call it COVID anymore. It's a cold, that's what it is. And you see, the problem is, if you react in such a know-it-all manner to a situation where you know nothing, and again, this all goes back to the football, all right, because it's the way our brains work, and what I'm talking about here is critical thought. And if you can't engage in critical thought, you're in the wrong place. So you see these videos, me shooting videos in my own front room, my garden, and I'm just thinking, at what point did I give off the impression that I'm some Pfizer fanboy, or just this mindless person you have, who is desperately needed? I mean, I became unwell, and Mrs. works in private healthcare, so we've got a lot of these lateral flow tests kicking around the house. Did one because I want to be careful that I don't make anybody who has got underlying conditions poorly, because it can kill them. A teensy-weensy percentage, I understand that, but there are people who have died because they're very old, and they're I'm looking for a word that isn't as damning as feeble, but you know what I mean. And I don't wish, you know, and so yeah, test positive on that thing. So I said, yeah, I got COVID, but this is the need to know moment, which is boring, but you know, you need to know because you pushed the button. You said, oh, go on, mate, you know, grow up here. Many years ago, I had pulmonary sarcoidosis, one for you to Google. I lost about, I think, 25-30% lung capacity of one of my lungs. I'm not looking for, you know, with send me in flowers. It's just one of those things. But it does make me susceptible to all this nonsense. And I've not had a jab. Not in a million years. There's no monkey jizz in these veins. Quite straightforwardly, because I've caught the thing from people who've been double jabbed and boosted. So I know that the jabs aren't that effective. And I'm also acutely aware of a family member, a relation who had a very severe reaction to a flu jab, and won't bore you with the full details. He lost the use of his bloody legs, and he's still wandering around with a stick. So, excuse me. Yeah, so that's it. So be able to hold more than two thoughts in your head, or more than one thought, at the very worst, in your head at one time. And you'll find life a lot easier, and you won't embarrass or humiliate yourself. Certainly, as far as that goes, anyway. So I think we've just about covered it. Yeah, so because where we're going here is we go from those comments, and they're very much aligned with the sort of crass nonsense where you go, oh, this bloke's so negative, I bet he's actually a gooner. Just desperate, absolutely desperate. Back to reality. Sorry for bending your ear, but if we don't get this out of the way, and again, it's not about my health or anybody else's health or blah blah. It is about being able to think critically, and not jumping on something and saying, "Oh yeah," because that's just not good enough. You know, we're going to be better here. I promise you, we're going to be better. Spurs fans are in a right old state at the present, and I understand. You know where I am, okay? I hope I'm going to spell it again for you, but I hope you know where I am. I'm pleased we're winning. I love watching us score goals. It's very enjoyable. But to what purpose? Where are we going? And more to the point, what are the club going to do to make sure when we get where we're going, we don't look like fools? Because I didn't enjoy watching us in the Europa Conference League. That was, quite frankly, humiliating. So, many of us are rubbing our hands together with glee as Tottenham appear to be making a late claim for some class of European football next season. And the lines on the forum tend to be repeated and echo. All we need to happen then is ... And in short, that's for Daniel Levy to have a personality transplant. He needs to fully back this guy. A long line of decent managers. We've had some pretty good managers. You know, once you take their watch legs, Tim Sherwood's out of the equation, and desperately depressing Nuno, and take those. But most of the guys have had pretty decent characters. And the word reset, the word reboot, these words aren't big enough to describe the size of the change that needs to happen at Spurs in order for Antonio Conte to thrive and not be suffocated like so many of the others were. So today we've got a Fabio Paratici success rate in the transfer market of 50%. I'm just being straight with you here, because it doesn't matter how much I have been impressed by Kulusevski and Romero, you know, because for each one of them there's a Galini and there's an Emerson. That's where we are right now. And there's still too much junk in the squad. And that's my problem. That's his problem, okay? Not that he's secretly a gooner. My problem is that we need to embrace the notion that we need a better squad, a more effective squad, if we're simply going to play more games. And the problem is, the further down the food chain you go, the more games you have to get involved in. So Europa Conference League, you know, that's a ton more games. I know that the Europa League itself is an additional half a season. The Champions League, they've extended, so I'd have to double check, but that's still a ton of more games. Daniel Levy just cannot be allowed to let this project, it cannot be allowed to let this one fizzle out as had all the others. And the problem, and the additional problem, if you like, is that even if Daniel Levy does his utmost and has a change of heart, a change of outlook on the model that he's going to use in terms of player transfers at Tottenham, we've got players out on loan who could well come back. Tanguy Ndombele with Olympique Lyonnais, and the Frenchman has found himself supplementing his own wages in order to facilitate that. We've covered this. So he's paying 100,000 yo-yos, whatever, mogadons a week in order to make that deal happen. 6 assists and a single goal. He's not blown the roof off in League One. And he is nowhere near being in a position to argue that he's worth what Tottenham have paid for him and what his current wage agreement is. And if Ndombele is a major roadblock in Conte's plans, then he's not alone. There's also a small matter of Giovani Lo Celso. The Argentine is with Villarreal, where despite making 2 useful Champions League appearances in a campaign that's progressed well, he's also fallen shy with no assists and no goals. And add to this, Giovani has been selected for fewer league games. Slight positive I might have missed out there with Tanguy is that he is playing more minutes per game than he ever did at Tottenham. So that's a positive. But is it worth 200 and something thousand pounds a week? So the issue is not what we might be capable of, but what kind of concerted efforts might Levy make if he were to bring back characters like Lo Celso, because I take a view that the ship has sailed on these guys, and Tottenham fans need to break this loserthink cycle of getting nowhere with certain players and then looking to rehire them again. Christian Eriksen, please give me a break. Never achieved anything of note the first time around, but oh yeah, lovely to see him again. Yeah, if that's how you feel, but it's not fact. So the odds of Conte being gifted the greater freedom this summer are slim, and then we double down with this business that he could be faced with the cold reality that we can't place any of these loan players anywhere else, and they've got to come home. And the squad needs a boost, an additional boost, of ready-to-go, talented, backstory-free players. So there's some big ifs there. More games, more need for fresh meat, and if Daniel Levy is able to tick both of those boxes with a good, deft, solid bit of penmanship, then yeah, sure, we're good to go, because we're doing really well with some duff players in the squad. Emerson Royal, I'm particularly looking at you, but unfortunately history dictates that Levy will do otherwise. That's it for now. Good luck, speak to you soon, keep it on.